again, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be going over nitrogen, when to use it, when to avoid it, and why there might be another side of the medallion most of you haven't thought about, or the flip side of the coin. And let's go over the first thing. When should you use nitrogen? You should use nitrogen in early spring when your rose needs to form stems, it needs to form leaves. So that is the main point of the year you should use a lot of nitrogen. And why might it be a bad idea to use it in the middle of the summer and to use it more towards the later part of the autumn? Well, it is because there is a bit of a cost to using nitrogen. You see, when you put in a lot of nitrogen into your rose flower beds, what happens is you signal the plant to boost auxin and cytokinin balance. And these hormones tells the plant to focus on leaf growth and producing stems. That's all good, right? You want more leaves and stems. You can never get enough healthy leaves and stems. Well, you see, the problem is there's another thing called carbon. And the rose only has a limited amount of carbon. And when you are telling it or hormonally telling it by placing in all this nitrogen into the flower bed, the issue is you're telling it to focus just on leaves and on these flower stems. And the issue is all the carbon gets redirected to producing just stems and leaves. And why is that important? Well, you see, carbon is also used in fragrance production for something known as the terpenoid system. It is also used for producing flowers, of course. So you see, carbon is a limited resource, and when you are throwing in all this nitrogen, you're using that limited resource on producing leaves and stems. And that can be a bad thing, especially towards the middle of the season and later in the season when your roses already has enough leaves and enough stems on them. I'm not denying that nitrogen is very important early in the season, but in the middle of the season and towards autumn, you probably want to lean off and avoid using too much high nitrogen. But as I said before, the issue is your plants have a limited amount of carbon, and the more nitrogen you use, the more you make sure that that carbon production gets put towards producing leaves and green stems, and not producing these fragrances through the terpenoid system, or even just producing blooms, really. So even though you can add a lot of nitrogen to your plants, the issue is that your plant still only has a limited amount of carbon. And when you are using all that nitrogen, you are essentially telling your plant to only use all that carbon on producing stems and producing leaves. And trust me, biochemically, it will focus on stems and leaves if you give it too much nitrogen over anything else. Because to the plant, it makes good sense, because it thinks, oh, let's produce a lot of these proteins, let's produce a lot of these ways to produce a chlorophyll, produce a photosynthesis. So for the plant, it makes good sense to focus on that first. But the issue is you're also telling the plant that just avoid producing fragrance, just avoid producing blooms. And you can suddenly end up with something where you have a lot of green leaves, a lot of green stems, but you don't have a lot of everything else going on. And I'm hoping now that I'm highlighting the problem to you with too much nitrogen use. And the problem is simply put, what I show here, like nitrogen leads to vegetative growth, and you get the leaves and stems. But the issue is it is on the cost of using up all the carbon in the plant. And carbon is needed for the terpenoid system to produce fragrance, but also needed in that system to produce the hormones for flowering and a lot of other things going on. So hopefully this makes you understand why not just throwing out a whole bag of nitrogen all the time is the perfect idea. Hopefully you now understand that nitrogen, you have to be careful with it. You have to be balanced with it. You have to use it at the right time, and the right time is spring primarily. A lot of the other time you want to increase the functions in the terpenoid system, and I'll probably be doing a video soon about the terpenoid system, maybe even today if I have the time for it. But just remember, there's a limited amount of carbon in the plant, and if you keep throwing nitrogen at the plant, you ensure that all that carbon, all those sugar molecules, are being spent on leafing and stem growth, not flowering, not fragrance. And that's really as simple as it is. You're boosting all those auxins, all those cytokinins, all these the hormonal side of the plant to tell it to just leaf out and just produce stems. And that's why you have to be a bit careful with nitrogen. Use it at the right time. Use it in spring. That's it for today, guys. I hope this makes sense and helps you understand roses more. And take care out there, guys.